You know, I'm the dude. That's what they call me. You know that, or his dudeness, or Duda, or El Duderino.
Welcome back, Slotcar family, on another video on Slotcar Dude. Today we're gonna do part 2 of tuning. Yes, because the first part seems to have smashed or hit a few buttons. Many people replied to me asking for more. So, as always, there's more to come. Here I am. Second part. Let's start off with reducing friction again. Yes, that's one of my favorite parts, wherever you can. Depends on what you use, how your car is set up, what your rules and regulations allow if you go racing. Now, for example, if you use metal bushings for the rear and for the front axle, I told you to polish the axle. Fine with that, but there's another thing you can do, which is polish the inside of your bushings. How the hell should I do that? I mean, this is like 2.38 or 2.4 millimeters. How do I get in there? Use your grinding paper. I've got a 1200, 2000 here. Just twist it to a small roll, so to say. And then, yes, you can polish the inside of your bearings with that. Very simple. Very effective. Yes, that does make a difference, believe it or not. Don't forget, if you're using this fine kind of grinding paper, always use a drop of water to go with it. Yes, helps. There's another thing, back to polishing axles, that you can use. Of course, you do not need only to use grinding paper. You can use stuff like that, which is used from the jewelers to polish their metals, whatever metal it is. Now, this comes in different colors, this product, meaning for different kinds of metals. I started to use that for my HO cars because the HO guys polish their brass gears on top and on the bottom, and that's what you use. You can also use any kind of polishing paste for metals, of course. Use it, try it, put your axle in a Dremel and then polish the bit of your axle where it's inside the bushings, and I'm sure you'll have a very great result. Now, need to look at my notes. Sorry guys, not to forget anything. Yes, the next thing is guide. Going to the front axle, so to say, going to the guide adjustment. I do have already issued a video on how I set up my guide. I'll post a link down in the description. A few things to add to that is, whenever I can, I use my own braid material, which is nothing else than a standard braid material you can get from MB Slot, still in the old days. You can get it from Avant Slot, you can get it from Slotted. Now, the very important thing is very thin. Why? Because the thinner the braid, the deeper the whole guide can go into the slot, which means it'll stay in the slot longer, because the way until the slot gets out of the guide gets out of the slot, is longer. So the smaller, the thinner your braids are, the deeper your guide can go into the slot, and the harder it is to deslot. Another thing for the adjustment setup of the guides. Back to my demonstration chassis, which is the BRM here. Well, I've done that already. It is, can you see that? Whenever I turn and I let go, it always turns back to the middle. Why is that? Why would someone do that? First of all, if you go on straights and the guide is straight, it doesn't scratch on the side of the slot, which means it doesn't break. It just keeps flowing. But if it's not straight, you'll have a natural break already built in going down the straights, which you don't want. Second thing is, very useful if you deslot and your guide stays to the side, the marshal will have a problem to put your car back in, versus if you have it turning back to straight, it'll be easier for him to put it in, which means you're losing less time when you deslot. And don't get me wrong, you lose the most time when you deslot, not while driving, while you deslot. So, how do you do that? That's what this tape here is for, and what these loops are for. This is how you adjust the guide to go back into the neutral, central position again. Not working 100%. This side works, this side not yet. Very simple twist. More twisting needed. There you go. What did I do? The black cable has got a little loop in it, which means I tightened it a little, and that way it goes back to the middle again. So, don't lose time when deslotting. If you deslot, you're trying to lose not as much time. Try to keep it simple, straight. Weight distribution. I started off with that already. You know that chassis from the previous video with the weight here to the front and with the soft tungsten weight here on the side. I like to use that tungsten, that soft thing, because you can press it into any part of the car you want it. It adjusts. It's very soft, and you just can put it there and place it there and it stays. It's a little sticky, so it'll stay. You don't need extra glue or anything. You just press it in, it'll stay. Now, again, I did describe why I put on this chassis a weight to the front here, because it's harder for the guide to come out of the slot. The more you put weight to the back means a little more traction on the back, but it also means if you go into corners and if you put in weight to the rear, it might slide more. So this is a discussion that's been going on since the 60s. Does distributing weight to the rear mean more downforce because I have more weight on the rear axle, or does it mean that the car tends to slide more? Try it, find out yourself. For me, it does make sense in some points and in some setups, especially when I use urethane tires. I tend to do a little weight to the back. But again, if you look at the chassis, you've already got a lot of weight in the back because of the motor and not much to the front, which means it's heavy here and light here. That's why I personally like to put weight to the front, close to the axle, close to the guide itself. Now, I was also talking about losing weight to gain weight. What I meant is, if you have a body, let's take this Alpha, and you have the feeling that it's very top heavy, which is not the point at the Alpha. I'm just taking or using this for an example. If it's allowed, what you can do is you go to the inside of the body and you start to dremel on the inside of the roof to lose weight there, because any weight you're losing from the top will mean you lower the center of gravity. Same for the hood, same for the trunk. Also, if it's allowed by your rules and regulations, it does make a difference. Again, I told you, I've seen race cars where you can press the roof, it's very soft, like a Lexan nearly, it nearly breaks, because the guys just dremeled out all the weight from on there. Schnitt. Zurück. Now, that's also a reason why many of us guys use those very fine scales Why is that? I want to see how much weight I actually improved or lost when dremeling out the body, and where I can put it back, because losing weight, and if you have a minimum weight per rules and regulations allowed, if I reduce the weight on the chassis and or the body, I can decide where I add the additional weight to come up to the minimum weight as per rules and regulations again, which means if I make this lighter, I can put the weight where I want it to fulfill my driving behavior, to fulfill how I want to have my car set up, which does help, believe me. Schnitt. Zurück. Now, one more thing in case you use ball bearings. Give me a second, I'll just get out of the car. If you use ball bearings, this is my Corvette for the scale auto class with the old scale auto chassis. Now let's see. That's ball bearings. And they're set up quite okay, I would say, because they run forever, or they tend to run forever. If I have set them up perfectly, they will, in the end, no, they won't. How do I achieve that? How do I manage to get my ball bearings work as good as those? Again, that's a lot of fiddling needed to have them run that long and that clear. And here we're also talking about resistance, which means if you're using ball bearings, there's one thing you have to do to start off with is, as soon as you unpack them, put them in a glass and drop in lighter fluid. Why the hell do you do that? What do you do it for? I use those, marmalade glasses, those small ones that you tend to get in hotels or whatever you find, and holds the lighter fluid. I put them in there overnight. The reason why is when they come out of production, they are put into grease so that the balls and the whole ball bearing doesn't start to rust. Plus, in addition, as a little, to have a lubrication when you start off with. But this grease is rather sticky, and you want to get rid of that because you want to apply the oil that you like to have on those ball bearings. Now the likes for oil are different, and I could fill another video of 4 hours just with oils, which I might do, but to come. So place your ball bearings, if you use them, overnight in lighter fluid, any lighter fluid. Take them out, put them in. Now, the second most important thing is the alignment of the ball bearings. The ball bearings need to be parallel, and they need to be flat, straight, adjusted as well. So this is a three-dimensional thing, of course. But as you could see, this helps a lot. We're talking about resistance, roll resistance. Give me a sec. There is a tool for 1 to 24 cars for those nuts and bolts chassis. Because the next important thing is for 24 cars that the front axle and the rear axle are parallel, exactly parallel as possible, which means you start to measure the distance on the axle front to rear, and this needs to be as exact on the same spot as possible. Now there is a tool which looks like that. costs a fortune, but it's well worth the money. Again, 24 cars, nuts and bolts chassis, where you align the chassis parallel front axle to rear axle. The way you do it is you adjust the length that you need. You place the chassis there. There is two very exact axles that you put in through the chassis, and then you adjust it, tighten it, and then from underneath here, you can see here and here the holes, and here in the rear, you can adjust the exact length of the chassis needed, and the front and the rear axle are absolute parallel. Now, talking about tools, greetings to Rahul, my friend Rahul from Conquest Racing, in Canada. This is a tool you will need only for nuts and bolt chassis, but I just love this piece of equipment. It's well worth the money. Yes, it costs a fortune. We're talking about 250 euros plus here, because it needs to be, the tolerances of the whole jig are so tight that the production needs to be very precise, and that costs money. Don't get me wrong. Slotcar family, this was another video with a few hints, a few suggestions, a few things that I learned, some of them the hard way, some of them the soft way, some of them being told. Just try them out. Try as much as you want, try as much as you can, and also just go for it. No fear, you can do nothing wrong, especially when placing weight. Oh, wait, one more thing. Talking about weight, I was talking about this tungsten soft thing. Of course, I'm also using lead that I cut in various sizes, thicknesses, or I also use brass plates. I don't know about the US, but here in Europe you can get brass plates in those home, what do you call them? Supermarkets for when you do your things in your home. I think it's like, well, in Austria and Germany it's called like Obi or Baumarkt, or those places where you buy screws, where you buy gardening things, where you buy just anything you need to build a house or renovate. They also offer, give me a sec, brass plates. Yes, they also offer brass plates that you can cut with your Dremel yourself in different thicknesses. So you can make your own shaped, sized brass weight to go into your chassis. Schnitt. And you just bring them into form, shape, drill holes to your likes, and use them as additional to stiffen a plastic chassis, for example, if you go for 32 cars, or to add extra weight. Now, most of the time, rules and regulations say you need to put it on top of your chassis, on the inside of the chassis, which does make sense. So also an idea to what to use to add weight. Lead, brass, tungsten. One more time. Okay, Slotcar family, this was it for part 2. Trying to gather more information, trying to gather more infos on what I can bring to you, what you want to see. Again, don't forget to press that like button, press the subscribe button if you want to get notified when I do more videos or issue more videos, which is quite regularly the thing. Don't forget to share, and of course, please leave comments, ask questions, whatever it is, I will try to answer either right away or in one of my next videos. So, Slotcar family, this was it. There's more to come.